Well, good morning, everybody, and good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast. Thanks for taking the time to hop in today for another installment of our spring webinar series. And like I did last week, it's in your chat window that I just sent over a message to. You should see a little link to the registration. We still have a couple more of these after today. So again, if you hadn't signed up for all of them, or you know somebody else who could benefit from them, you can grab that chat information there and copy and paste it, and share it with a coworker or somebody else who you think might enjoy the last couple that we still have going on. Also draw your attention to, as usual, the Q&A section that will be available throughout. So feel free to avail yourself of that. Jacob, again, will be manning that for you. And then if we're not able to cover all of those things, then we'll touch back in with you afterward as well. But yeah, jump into that as we go through the session today. So picking up, if you were attending last time's session, you might remember that we were talking about kits. And if you didn't make that session, you might want to find that on our, the recording is available on our website. And so maybe you might want to review that. We were talking a little bit more at some of the basics of kits, how to set them up, how you can leverage different parts of them to do different things in different circumstances. But then today we're going to return back to kits and just look at a few more of the particulars. Again, just trying to get into some different levers in a sense that are available that may be useful to you in just different ways that you set up your kits. So we're going to jump over here to the profile tab, and we're going to continue on with this kind of this similar idea to where we were talking about last week with that roof decking kit. We don't have time to go in a whole bunch of different examples per se, but hopefully you can see the principles that we're kind of reviewing here, and then can see how you might be able to leverage them, because obviously kits can be used in a bunch of different situations, circumstances, and applications. So yeah, so I guess just encouragement, look for the principles that we're going over here to see how you can leverage them further in different places in your templates. So roofing underlayment. So the first thing I wanted to point out was really what this, well, actually the kit is the roof decking kit. As you can see that I've got set up here, I have my roof decking kit. And right now I only have one common kit component in it for roofing underlayment. But you'll notice that it has the initial product family that's listed for this particular item is the default product family. If I take a look inside of here, the way that was set, or instead of coming to a specific product here in this list to say that I want, for example, Graze Ultra to be my initial product family. So obviously we could do that, and that's what we reviewed last week. But you have this alternate option up here to use this checkbox to use default product family as initial product family. So the benefit here, if you use that, is two things. One is it makes it very flexible, that as perhaps your needs change over time of what you prefer to be your desired product, say for roofing underlayment or something else in another case, you could change that in your usages tab, and then your kits, any kits that are relying on those defaults, they'll just automatically do the right thing for you. They'll pick your default preferred product. So even within the context of a single template, that can be quite useful, so that as you change things over time, your kits just sort of keep up with your preferences. So that's that's one benefit. And then the other benefit might be in the case if you have multiple templates. Maybe you have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different templates, and different customers have different preferences that you've set up in those templates. If it works in this case to use this checkbox, now it doesn't matter, where, as you import and export a kit and take it from one template to another template, it's going to, in a sense, do the right thing for you, picking that default product for that particular customer instead of just one that you've hard set here within the kit itself. So the way you would do that, just in case you're not familiar with that, so as far as what do we mean by default product family? Well, it's whatever's been set to be the default product for roofing underlayment. And the way that those are set are over here in the usages tab. And you can see here, here's my roofing underlayment application. So I'm up here and under set defaults, and I'm in here in single application as opposed to all applications. So I've looked through all my single applications, found roofing underlayment, and you can see here the one in red is my default product. I could right click on another one and say, well, this is what I want to be my default, is this roll of 15-pound felt. And so whatever it is that I set as my default product, that is then what this kit will reference when it goes to populate the product family in it. So there's just another lever that you can leverage in your kits as you build them, particularly from a maintenance standpoint going forward. So we're going to leave that one in that way. Going on to another topic and getting a little bit into quantity length and a couple of equation capabilities. I'm going to add another component to this roof decking kit. Let's just say that I want to drive some bracing material to go along with my roof decking, so that it can be for bracing trusses, or maybe just bracing, the roof system while it's temporarily in place, or maybe it's going to be for permanent stuff. So, and maybe my rule of thumb is well, for every 100 square feet of roof, square footage of roof that I have of roof decking, I want to send, so many 14-footers. Basically one 14-foot board for every 100 square foot of decking. Just kind of randomly pulling out a number here. So I can come to my common kit components because this is something that I want to send all the time. So I'll click here, and here's another way that you can, if you don't have an application that is really quite the right fit, keep in mind that you can also use things like generics. We have like a generic QL here, LF, LSF, lots of options here. And within the context of a kit, it's actually pretty easy to use this and rename it as whatever you want. So maybe I want this just to be called as roof bracing as it comes into my list. So another key idea to remember there is that can be a pretty easy way if you have more of a unique application that you're calling that's more specific to your business type that you want to drive in a kit. Really easy way to make use of that. You can also do that even for a parent item. I'll note up here. So I've got roof bracing. Now, another lever that I want to show you here is this checkbox here for assign all available product families. Let's just say that even when I'm over in my material list, I might have to make a choice sometimes. Sometimes I want to send 2x4s, sometimes I want to send 2x6s, sometimes it's 2x2s, or whatever. And so, but I only want to really see the products that are applicable to what I'm sending. I don't want to see this whole huge list. And especially if I have a new guy that I'm training in my team, I don't really want them to see a whole bunch of products and think, oh, maybe I should just send a 1x12. So here's the option that you can do for kit components is rather than display all of the possible products for a particular application that are available, I can uncheck this box and I can choose which products I would actually want to even be available in that product family. So for example, I could say, well, I know I want 2x4 and I want 2x6 and maybe a 1x4 sometimes. So I just have this small collection of products that would actually show up. So now I can also say, well, I want 2x4 to be my default, but I want to give people an option to go to 1x4 or 2x6 if for some reason they needed to. So I'll set that, but that's gonna be what that checkbox that I unchecked now gives you since I unchecked this one here, now I have the ability to assign which product families should be available for this particular kit item. And we'll look at another example of that in just a moment of how else you might leverage that. So down here now, in this area of functions that can be used in the equation. If you click on this FX button, you can see a list of the different functions. And there's a lot here. And speaking from my perspective, I'm probably going to say there's a lot here that many of these you probably won't ever really need to use, even if you're going kind of pushing the edges of the envelope. I'm going to point out 3 that really seem to be the main ones that can help you get to different corners. One is the concat, which is what we're going to talk about here in just a moment. Another one is the SIF, so basically an if statement. And then one more would be the ceiling. Those 3 functions are really kind of the key ones to keep in mind. So let's say that in this case, you can see here I've used the generic QL because So for my output, I need to produce something that goes into the input field that actually is in a quantity length. And this is where the concat function comes in. So let's say, for example, I'm just going to build out this equation real quick, that we want to take the square footage of the roof decking. Remember, that's the parent item. And so I want to say, well, for every 100 square feet, I want one 14-footer. So I'm going to take the square footage, and I'm going to divide it by 100.0. And I then want to, so that's going to give me a quantity, right? And I want to, and I can actually even use, well, no, we'll just leave it at that. So I want to take the square footage, I want to divide it by 100, and then I want to use that in conjunction with 14-footers. So that number plus, or applied with the slash symbol and a 14-footer. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to use cat, which basically allows me to join two statements or two strings together. So the first string is going to be this SF divided by 100 to actually get a specific quantity. And then the next thing I'm going to use for my next string is I'm going to use, I'm going to put it in quotes to indicate this is what I, I want this specifically. I'm not doing an equation. I just want this text specifically. I'm going to put a slash and a 14. So I want a slash 14. So basically what now I'm asking for is I want whatever quantity is the square footage divided by 100. I want that along with a slash 14 to appear in my input field. So I'm going to click, let's see here. Oh, I didn't close my quote marks, and that's what's wrong. There we go. So I closed my quote marks to indicate that that's what I want. So I'm going to click OK. Okay, so now I've got this line up. So let's see what this looks like. So you can see when I go to use this, I should be getting this roofing underlayment and this generic renamed. So let's just jump over here. Let's come to my roof pack, pick a roof decking. I'm going to pick just 7/16. So I'm going to enter like what, 1,000 square feet. Okay, and now we've got this roofing underlayment. 1,000 square feet is matching the underlayment up above. Notice that it populated with my roll of 15-pound felt, since that's my default product family that was set in the usages tab. Roof bracing, I've got the 2x4, and so it's taking the equation is taking the square footage, dividing it by 100, which equals 10, and then it's putting the slash 14 behind it, so I'm getting 10 14-footers. And there's a waste factor, I think, involved here, or actually maybe that's just because I only have, in this particular case, my stocking lengths don't have 14-footers, and so it's rounding those to a 16. So in this case, maybe I should have picked 16. But there you can see that's how we're using the concat feature in order to get that QL list. Going to jump on again to one other set here, and that relates to, so what happens if you have something that you want to call that depends on what product is actually called in the parent item. So great example of this is with roof decking is roof clips. Let's say that, for example, you wanted to send roof clips, 4 roof clips per sheet of decking that you send. But the thing is that you only want you want 7/16 clips to come with 7/16 decking. But if they called 5/8 in the parent item, you would want a different behavior. You would want to have the 5/8 clips come. And so this is where we enter into this option for kit usages that's over here in the toolbar. So I have my roof decking kit, and I'm going to say that I want to add a kit usage to this. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to give this a title. Now this is just for my reference. I'm going to call this 7/16. This will be my 7/16, and I'll find the 7/16 by 4/5 8-foot product. I'm going to select it. Click OK. Okay, so now you can see over here in my roof decking kit, I have sort of this subsection, the 7/16, and right now I could add more products to this if I wanted to, but the 7/16 is what is included here. I'm going to click on, notice that my title is changed here, and it's kit usage components. So this means that I'm only going to be adding this to this specific 7/16. So I'm going to click plus, and I'm going to add a new component here. And this is going to be, I'm going to add the miscellaneous connector in. And here would be another opportunity where I could use, I don't want to assign all my available product families. Instead, I just want to only show the 7/16 clips here in case somebody goes to change these, so I only want these products to actually be possible ones available. So I put those over here and everything else won't show. Now I'm going to go to the PSCL and let's say I just want single clips. So I'm going to set that as my initial product family. And for my equation, I could use the output count and go off the number of sheets and then divide that by 4. So that would look something like this, or times it by 4 actually. Output count times 4, and that would give me 4 sheets per clip. So that would be one approach. Another approach that I want to take this a little bit of a step further is let's say that we went off the square footage. And so I'm going to go like this. I can say, well, I'm going to take the square footage and I want to multiply that by divide that by 32. So basically sort of for doing the math on my own and multiply that by 4. So really similar outcome, but I'm going to show you in a second why maybe I might choose to go this direction instead. So let's say that I click OK. Okay, now I have this. Now, what I want you to catch here though is that, so I've created a 7/16. If I come back here to the roof decking kit and I click on the parent item, notice that I only just have just the underlayment and the roof bracing shows. If I click on the 7/16, I get the roofing underlayment in the roof bracing because they're going to apply to everything they show here, and that's what this little icon here indicates. It's coming from above, from that main section. But then I also have this miscellaneous connector that's 7/16 that only applies if that the parent product family is the 7/16 4 foot by 8 foot sheet. So what that looks like then in here, if I come to a fresh one of these, pick 7/16, and I have, say 1,000 square feet again, notice I'm going to get my PSCL click. But if I was to change this to say 5/8, notice that it knows to adjust that and it no longer includes those clips. Now, of course, I could build another one, coming back over here to the profile tab. I could click on my roof decking kit, I could add another kit usage, and I could build one out for 1/2-inch clips. I could build one out for 5/8 clips. I could, all that concept. And I'm not limited to just one product. So for example, I could, if I say, well, 15-30 seconds, that's close enough for me, I'll just include 7/16 clips with that. Then I could say, well, fine, I'll add my 15-30 seconds by 4 foot by 8 foot, and I'll add this there. So now I've got this will apply to both 15-30 seconds and 7/16 would get this 7/16 PSCL behavior. So now I want to go over to take this one step further here as we finish up today. And again, going a little bit longer here, but just wanted to get this one more concept in, and that's the use of the ceiling and the if statements. How can we leverage this? So one thing is let's say that we wanted to come back and edit this particular outcome. Let's say that we wanted to instead of calling the package of the singles, we wanted it to be a package of 50s instead. So I'm going to use this PSCL 7/16R50. So this is a package of 50. So now what I need to do is take a little bit different approach. Is I wanted to square foot divided by 32.0 times 4 to get to my number of clips, but then ultimately I need to divide that by 50 so that I can say, well, this is actually how many packages I want. And then I also don't want it to just like round down or round up. I want it to round up. So that's where I'm going to use the ceiling function. So I'm going to put some parentheses around this. And the ceiling, basically the ceiling is essentially just always round up. So even if I'm one space over, just round up to the next, to the next whole number. So now what this should allow me to do is it's going to click OK. And let's come back over here and let's reset this. Before, oops, just take off this and set this over. So we're resetting and getting the fresh data. So I'm going to enter 1,000 square feet again. And in this case, it's done the math for me. It's figured out, okay, you need this many clips, divided it by 50. And now it's going to say, okay, you need a total of 3 of those PSCL R50s that are going to go out there to the job. Okay, so that's kind of the ceiling concept where it's like, okay, I need it to do some math for me, but I always want it to round up. I don't want it to like say, oh, okay, well, you needed 2.5, but I'm only going to send you 2. So you can force that rounding up to happen. Okay, final thing here, and this is where this kind of gets some other interesting options available, would be what if you wanted to have some adjusting behavior of doing one thing in one case and one thing in another case. And you can do this using the if statements that I'm sure that many of you are familiar with using in Excel and those concepts. But the thing that I really wanted to show you relates to not so much within a single line. Of course, you can do if statements within a single line and get different behavior for different circumstances. But let's say that you wanted to have, well, in some cases, like if it was a really small job, you wanted to have use just single PSCL clips. So it's like I want to send one product in particular, like just the singles. So let's add another line out here. Let's call this miscellaneous clips, miscellaneous connector. And we're going to go to that 7/16 since that's the kit we're working in here. And we'll say, here's our single item. So I'm going to set this as initial product family. But let's say that it's like, well, if it's a small project, so meaning like if it's less than 400 square feet, then I want to send, I want to use PSCL clips. I don't want to send packages of 50. I just want to send, a collection of clips that need to be sent out. I'll just sell them piecemeal. And maybe that particular example doesn't make sense in your business, but again, just trying to get the principle here. So I'm going to write something that looks like this, where basically I'm saying, hey, take the square footage and divide it by 32 and send 4 clips per sheet is kind of the main concept here. But I'm going to say, well, but only do this if it's less than 400 square feet. So if the square footage is less than 400 feet, then do this. But if it doesn't do this, then essentially I'm saying do nothing. So I'm going to click OK. Okay, so now I've got that. And now what I can do instead is I can come to my other one, my R50s. And maybe I want to drag this below so it's a little bit clearer. So here's my single line and here's my R150s. And we're going to put an if statement around it. And we're going to say, well, in this case, I essentially want what I just did, where I have that ceiling and I'm going to divide it by this and, divide it by the 50 and round it up and all that. But I only want to do that if the square footage is greater than 399 square feet. So basically, that over 400 feet or 400 square feet and over. And if it's not greater than that, then again, do nothing. So click OK. So what's the net effect of this? Essentially, what we're going to end up with is now by creating 2 separate lines, and let's go over and take a look how this might work. I'm going to just clear out this data. All right, and we'll start fresh. All right, so we'll come here, we'll pick our 7/16, and in this case, let's say that we have 398 square feet. Okay, so, oops, my roof bracing needs to be fixed there, but we'll run with that for the moment. But we're going to go here just to, there we go, we'll go with this for the moment. So we have 300 square feet, so we're less than the 400. So in this case, it says, okay, here's the PSCL 7/16. You only have 300 square feet, so it does the piecemeal, just simple PSCL clips, no batches. But if I change this then and go to 500, now it says, oh, you're over 500, so it stops sending. It's not going to send PSCL clips anymore. Instead, it's going to send the packages of 50. So that would be just a whole nother concept of how you can use if statements to essentially get one set of behavior based on the square footage of the parent, and get a different set of behavior, if it's over a certain amount. So because keep in mind that if you end up with a blank entry in the input field, even though this displays here, you're not going to actually get any output on your report. This will just be a blank line item. So another way you can leverage kits. So kind of just really quickly in review, just as some of the things that we talked about as we close today. Keep in mind that with you can have different levels for your kits. So you can have the main level up here, which affects any product family used, but you can also have kit usages that could behave differently depending on which product you called in the parent line item. Then within a kit component itself, we'll come here. You can use these checkboxes here, use the default product family, great for porting things around. When it comes here, you can use this to check the boxes and only apply products that actually you want people to make a choice of and a selection of. And I guess I didn't really actually show you that over here. I'll just bounce back over to the material list. So what that looks like here for like these 7/16 for the, say the roof bracing I did that for. Here you can see if I need to change it, I'm just presented with the options that are reasonable based on what I've set up for the business, my business rules. So that's what that would look like there. And so then finally back over here in the profile, then using those input equations and leverage those different ways. Again, concat would be the formula that you'd want to use if you're trying to get some QL output. The ceiling function to be able to always round something up. And then the if statements, leveraging those in a few different ways, both within the context of a single line, but also in the context of multiple lines in order to arrive at different solutions depending on what is all going on in the parent item. So hopefully those give you at least some ideas, and maybe that just, maybe it just starts to broaden the horizon for you and you say, well, now I can really see what I want to do, but I'm not fully sure how to totally get there. Again, remember the support line, feel free to contact us, either chat or email or call, and we're happy to talk through some of those things and help you further down that road. But the main goal here was to kind of continue to, in a sense, kick the walls out a little bit, think outside the box. How could you leverage kits further and get to more things as a result? So we'll leave that Q&A section up here for a little bit yet, so you can take advantage of that. But thanks for taking the time to hop on today, and we'll look forward to you joining in. Got a couple more of these spring webinars yet here before we close out this season. So thanks so much. Have a good afternoon.